1 second, I'll be with you. Testing, there we go. I'm not sure why Telegram is not connecting. Just give it a moment. Okay, so how do I do that? End live stream. Let's try that again. Okay, I think it should be better now. I think we're live on all three. Good morning, America. I hope you're well. Markets have just opened and I will be with you momentarily. Good, I think everything's working. Good morning, America. Good afternoon, Europe. And, well, good evening if you are tuning in from Asia and Australia. Wherever you are, I hope you're well. Let's get to it. See this flag here? Sorry, do you see this? I don't actually know. Who knows? So there you go. That's the American president for you. The symbol of Western democracy and leader of the most powerful nation in the world. And a true light in this world. True light. Benevolent. Always put other people's interest before his own. Not to admire by the man. Anyway, enough mocking. Let's get to it. Let's enable the overnight range box so we can see where we are in context of the overnight range. Then let's look at where we are in terms of gap up or gap down. And I think this picture here tells us everything we need to know. We are currently pushing above yesterday's high, and we are trading well above the overnight range. In Europe, in case you are at all interested in America, we had a trading session in the DAX, which was incredibly like the previous trading session in DAX. This is yesterday's trading session in the DAX. We had a push higher off the open, then 3 or 4 bars later we had a big plunge, and then just an enormous sideways until the US markets opened. And today we had a big plunge off the open, and then kind of recovery, and then a lot of sideways. So in many respects, these two charts look very similar. And let's do the same in the Nasdaq, because I trade that as well. We'll enable the overnight range. In case you're curious, this is the software that I've developed. Should we just be clear about what I mean by development? I haven't coded a line of this. I am relying on people who are infinitely more skilled at this than I am. And thank God they also know how to trade. So a lot of the things that I suggest, they already know. So they are legends in my eyes. So thank you. So make sure that you contribute to the monthly donation, because it goes uncut to them. Here's the Nasdaq 15-minute chart overnight range. We just pushed above yesterday's high. We are not able to stay above yesterday's high. And as you can see, the Nasdaq is more or less where it closed. On the daily chart, we clearly are in a trading range, but with the potential of breaking out to all-time highs, which I think is not gonna, if I was to hazard a guess, and I don't think I'm gonna win any awards for this guess, but we will see new all-time highs. All right, seems like my machine is trying to digest its way through these. There we go. So interestingly, we have a first bar negative in the Nasdaq. We are sat at yesterday's closing price. Don't know why, but this is just a note to the developer. The overnight range box disappeared when I went out to a weekly chart and then went back. Do you see that, how it disappears? And then I have to go in and enable it again. I don't mind doing that at all. I'm just saying that that's what happens. Okay. Now, with the overnight range, this is something that I've defined by myself. You can put your own definition of what the overnight range should be. We have traded above the overnight range, and we traded above yesterday's high, and we were not able to see any buying above it. In fact, we had a very strong bull bar during that 5-minute bar 1 that closed not near its lows, but it definitely a bearish bar. And I imagine that will cause some concern amongst the bulls. You see the same pattern taking place now in the Dow. We had a very strong bull bar, which has now given away to, even though we're trading above yesterday's high and we're trading above prior bar high, bar number 2 is not a particularly promising bar for the bull case yet. Would I consider being a buyer below 2? Yeah, I would, because I also take into account where yesterday's closing price is. Unlike, say, Al Brooks and the lovely Rose and Tim and Brad and these wonderful people, and I try to sort of do what it is that they're doing whilst also showing my live trades. But one thing that you'll probably notice that they will do, they'll just focus on one instrument, which is the S&P 500, and that's I have the greatest respect for that. I could trade the S&P 500 as well, but I actually choose to trade the Nasdaq and the Dow. So you may say, well, which one do you prefer to choose to trade, and which one do you prefer to trade? I said neither and both. It sort of just depends on the setup. So, for example, in the Nasdaq, when the first bar is negative, I like to be a buyer below. Now I missed that. You see how the market went below bar number one. I would have wanted to be a buyer below bar number one. Don't know why I didn't do that. I must have been distracted talking to you. But you'll notice now that Europe is very strong. Europe is making new highs, or relatively new highs, for the morning / afternoon. And the FTSE index is doing the same. And when I see that, to me it suggests that Europe is believing that the US will have strength coming in. So I did not take a buy below bar number one. Which is a shame. Just so you are aware, we have Jolts job openings coming up. What I would love to show you is how this tend to affect the market. So let me do that by using a historical database. So let's take, what should we take? Where is there's the Dow. So the last jolt took place on the 29th of April. Which is here. And this is a 10-minute chart that I'm operating on. Jolt caused the market to fall. Double bottom entry. But the number of Jolt was then later reversed. Let's take a look at the 1st of April. Here. Jolt seemed to cause the market to fall, but that is later reversed. And then you have the 11th of March, which is here. Jolt seemed to cause the market to fall, and actually that fall is sustained, but it is already in a downtrend off the open. Next jolt is the 4th of February. Which is here. Jolt seems to cause the market to push higher, but then it goes into a sideways range for an hour. And it sort of just grinds itself out throughout the day. Shall we do one more, 7th of January. Here we go. Jolt causes the market to fall, and the market attempts to reverse that, but it is not successful. December 3rd, Jolt doesn't seem to do anything to the market. One more for good luck. 29th of October. Jolt makes the market accelerate, but then trace back into the range. So there you go. Not entirely conclusive, but at least a taster of how the market has reacted in the past. It seems as if I'm doing the overnight range in a box that hasn't been included, like the S&P 500, you don't see that. So maybe developer, don't know if you want to include S&P 500 into the overnight range library. I'd consider being a buyer in the Dow below 2 and 3. So stand by for that. Currently trading at 306. Stop loss would be at 220. Let's see if I can get a slightly better price. When you look at the Nasdaq now, you sort of have to kick yourself a bit for not buying below 1. The news is out in 9 minutes. I'm still waiting for an entry point. Unless, of course, this is a day like yesterday, and we should be short. Stand by. I'm wondering if I am going to get an opportunity to enter a short at a price level where I want to be short. News out momentarily. I was not able to find that entry I wanted in the Dow on the short side. And I also missed the buy opportunity below 1 in Nasdaq. On the flip side, I had considered a long below 3 in the Dow, and I don't think I would have been able to move my stop loss up, so I can always take a little bit of comfort that I'm not on that losing trade because I would have been stopped out. So in 30 seconds, so the sizing that I'm using this afternoon, I'm doing 4 pounds a point in the Nasdaq and 2 in the Dow. School run will trigger a short at 221. I'm shorted the Dow here on a school run. So this is a typical breakout strategy. Can't say I'm overly joyed with that. So basically I'm a seller below 6. But knowing full well that it's taking place inside the range. Notice how the Nasdaq is showing sort of a pattern of inside bar and then push higher, inside bar or push higher. I'd be very keen to be a buyer of the Nasdaq on any move down near the low of previous candle. Dow on the other hand is a different pattern, had a very strong open, but has since struggled. So what could I see the Dow doing? Well, depending on, if we look at yesterday's get rid of these boxes here. Perhaps come down to yesterday's high before the market really kicked off, which would be 166. All the way down to the low end of the box, which is, well, quite a lot further down. But right now that's just a pipe dream because I am on the wrong side of the market. And you'll notice how the DAX is showing strength by trading near the highs of the day. And the FTSE going below 79 and 83. and trading back into the trading range. Having said that, the bulls are not able to push forward. Now, at the moment, I have a 160 point stop loss, so I'm certainly in a position now to move that stop loss. The last candle here had a range of about 40 points, so if I add 40 points to that, that would take my stop loss down to about okay. So I'm doubling up in the Dow. What I don't understand is, where is my second stop loss? Where's the it's all the way up there. There we go. Yeah, that was we made it sort of halfway down the box, the overnight range. I took a chance and I doubled up on the position on a school run short. At its best, I was 50 point in profit. I added, but now we're coming back down again. I'm wondering if I just cut the loss, because it doesn't quite feel right to me. Let's have a look. So the Nasdaq, I think, is a buy here. We're sort of trading below 6, and we're trading below 7. So it doesn't seem as if we are going to get a trend move off the open. As you can see, I placed my stop loss sort of above 7. So Kind of as expected, Nasdaq is pushing higher. I think I'm wrong in the Dow. I'm going to close my add-on for a loss of 55 points. And I'm closing my first position for minus 25 points. Let me show you the transaction history. 50, 57 actually, and 25. I am contemplating flipping the switch because I think we had a good clear out below 1, and we can now go back into the range and gone towards 305. I'm going to take a long position shortly in the Dow if I can get a reasonable price. Betting on that we are still in a trading range. I'm buying the Dow here at 39, call it 40. Sorry, I made a typo in the entry in Telegram. Let me amend that. 240. Stop loss 140. Those of you who listened in, you would have been happy to be a buyer below 7 and 6. Good for you. I didn't, as you can tell. So 7 and 9 are sat around supporting an 8 low. I think this 8 low is the kind of pattern that I was looking for post a jolt number. And remember when I went through the dates going back to November, October last year, most jolt numbers reversed themselves. Not all, but most. I'm buying the Nasdaq here. I'm buying it because it looks like a trend move to me, where we keep making new highs. So I got two long positions, one in Nasdaq and one in the Dow. I'm gonna double up in the Dow now. I'm doubling up in the Nasdaq, betting on new highs. Now you can take profit up here at the highs of the Nasdaq, or you can let it run. Okay, that was a bit, that didn't give you much time to take profit at all, did it? Excuse me. I'm doubling up in the Dow. So the Nasdaq is just taking a pause. Hopefully there'll be buyers below 10. There's been buyers below pretty much every single bar. Dow is staging a really strong comeback, and I expect it to go past 315. The high of the day is up here at 600. Be nice to see that again. Could the Dow be doing the same? Well, look at the Dow yesterday. Took a while, but we got up to the opening highs. The same here, so forming the kind of the same pattern in the Dow. I might ease my Nasdaq position a bit. Close Nasdaq for 0, actually +2, but let's not quiver over that. I just closed it because I think I got enough risk on in the Dow. So as you can see, I lost about 160 pounds in the Dow, and that's about where I am in my profit right now. You see that? So we're coming up to the high of 5, which I think is the demarcation of, if I was going to illustrated here, you got bear bar, bull bar body, bear bar body, bull bar body, bear bar body. So this is the breakdown area. So up here, this is where I'm thinking, well, this is where it should go. So I'm going to start taking profit here. It's currently trading at 10. Let me just see what the... So we're up about 200, 300 pounds. So easing my way out of position number 1 and position number 2. And position number 3. Okay, let's just take a look at the account. How did we do? Lost 150 on 160 on the Dow, then made a bit and lost a bit, basically break even in the Nasdaq, and then made so lost 160, then made 250, made 300. So made about double of what we lost on the first position. And yeah, okay. That was a good trade. It was a shame that I got a tad aggressive, as I always do. Not always, but when I feel like it, and I certainly did feel like it today. So I sold short down here on a break, added, it went well, then it didn't go well. Then here I decided to close my position by myself because this just didn't look like how it was supposed to. Then I thought, okay, we got a bear body, we got a bull body, we got a bear body. They're basically all at the same alignment, which is here, and I felt that's probably going to be a target. And that's where we pushed up to now, and that's where I've taken profit. I bought a call position, and then I doubled up, and then well, you can't really say I doubled up again because I didn't double up again. I added the same amount, like in a skyscraper fashion, rather than a pyramid fashion. Nasdaq, I think it was a good call to get out of it. It just seemed as if it had stalled, but you know, I don't think there's any doubt that we'll see new highs in the Nasdaq. So yeah, I think that sort of sums up the trading day. I hope that you enjoyed that. I don't know if you've seen this. I'd like to show you. I've been asked, how do I feel about this? One sec. So TD is increasing their spreads, and I was just looking at them going, okay, so obviously this is the hours. So let's just ignore the out of hours because they're sort of not really relevant at all. I don't trade in the middle of the night. So when I sort of look at them, well, what? I don't trade the... So what they're doing is I suppose they're reflecting that stock indices are trading at all-time highs, and the DAX is trading with the same spread even though it's doubled in the last 3 years. It's not humongous. Of course, it's always annoying when you have to pay more in spread. You know, I'm a bit of a pet about this, but the FTSE just a year or 2 years ago was trading down around 5,500, and now it's at close to 9,000. And so perhaps it's not so unreasonable that the spread goes from 0.6 to 0.8. It's still very competitive. The Dow, sorry, the Nasdaq, the DAX. The DAX was trading a few years ago at 15,000. Now it's at 24,000, and the spread has remained the same. So perhaps a stretch from 09 to 1 is not the end of the world either. And the Dow, well, Dow at 1.5 to 1.9, can I live with that? Yeah, I think I'm all right with it. I mean, I don't like it, but it still is competitive compared to other CFD brokers because these are fixed. They will not change. I don't know if you remember in April where some of the brokers, I better not mention any names because they get really irate with me, and I get mails from brokers saying, why are you saying that our spreads are so wide? And I say, because they were. You were 32 point wide in the Dow Jones when you opened on the 4th of April, Mr. ... broker. So that's what I like about having a broker that has fixed spreads. But yeah, anyway, you may not trade with them, in which case you couldn't give a hoot. So there you go. It didn't seem to be such a bad call to get out of the Dow, and I'm glad for the call in the Nasdaq. I had hoped to see a push up to new highs for the day, but when we began to get bull bar, bear bar, bull bar, I think, oh, come on. Am I still bullish? Yeah, absolutely. Would I buy a retracement? Without a doubt, I would. But this is the point. Someone is saying here, as you discussed TD, please, can you put everyone's mind to rest and declare any potential? What does COI stand for? I guess it stands for conflict of interest. No, not an affiliate. I just like trading with them. You can trade with whoever you want. DAX is still grinding higher. S&P, in a trend day up, you want to be a buyer of the retracement bars. I will probably carry on trading myself, but for now, for today, I will bid you adieu and wish you a so I just wanted to see how much I made today. We started the account at 31,100 and we are ending it at 32,000. So it's a good day. Thank you so much, and I'll see you tomorrow. All the very best. Bye bye for now.